Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Numbers with Nora. This is a math tutoring channel that helps you with all your math homework needs, wants, questions, asks, all that kind of stuff. So for this video, we're going to be doing Algebra 2. This is Unit 1, Algebraic Essentials Review. This is actually going to be Lesson 2, Solving Linear Equations. The book I'm going to be using is called Common Core Algebra 2. I will leave an electronic link in the description so you can follow along as well. For this specific video, I'm actually going to go right off from the book and right in here. All right. And so, like I said, this is just review before we really get into the nitty gritty for Algebra 2. So let's get into it. So for this one, it says solve each of the following linear equations for the value of x. This is just like kind of a review of Algebra 1. When we solve for x, of course, we're going to use our properties. I'm only going to do the highlighted ones in here. If you want to see the unhighlighted ones, leave a comment and I'll do them. So let's go ahead and do a fresh review of this one. For this one, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. When I sit there and do that, I'm going to get 3x. All right. Oops, sorry, my pen is messing up a little bit. All right, there we go. So I get 3x equals 21. Then that was the subtraction property of equality. Divide each side by 3. That's the division property of equality. Those x or those 3's cancel out. I get 3x equals 7. Okay. This is all review stuff. If this is hard for you, then look at my Algebra 1 videos, okay? Right, so let's go on to D. Again, we're just solving for x. All right, so for here, we're going to have some distributing going on. I always like to annotate when I'm solving problems so I know what I'm doing. What annotation this shows is I'm distributing, and that means that 6 and that 2 have to be multiplied by everything in my parentheses. So distributing property, I get 6x. Okay. Then plus 24. That's 24. And again, I'm distributing that -2 through, so minus 2x. Negative times a negative equals a positive. So that's plus 2. And then I'll just sit there and make this so that comes along for the ride. Again, when you are in school and you're doing math, or anytime you do math, you should show every single step and every single line of annotation or work involved. Okay, so if you make a mistake, you can go back and look at it. Now I'm going to sit there and group together my like terms. Let's do the ones on the left-hand side first. 6x minus 2x, because they have the same variable, that's going to be 4x. My constants are going to be positive 24 and then positive 2. So that's going to be plus 26. Let's group our like terms on the right-hand side as well. I have 2x. It's just staying the same. There's nothing else to group. Okay. Now I usually like to sit there and have my variable on the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract this 2 from both sides, and then I'm going to subtract the 26 from both sides, all right? So when I subtract the 2 from both sides, I'm going to have 2x. All right. And that's going to be equal to -6, because 20 minus 26 is going to be -6. Again, I divide by both sides by 2, and then I get x equals -3. Right, so that's just a basic review of solving simple linear equations. Right, any questions on that, leave a comment in below. Let's go on to exercise 2. Now for this one, we're just stating what properties that we use every time we sit there and solve the equation step by step. All right, so let's go ahead and put the properties in here. I'm going to make a text box right here so it's not as bad. Now you guys don't have to see my hideous handwriting. All right, so for this one, we're solving 2 in parentheses x plus 7 in parentheses plus 4x equals 44. So for this one, as you see, they use a distributive property, because if I sit there and drew my annotations, I would have to make sure that 2 is multiplied by both of the terms inside my parentheses. So this one's distributive property. All right. Right here is the next one. For this one, as we see here, they sit there and switch the 14 and the 4x. When they're being added, this is going to be the commutative property. Remember, the commutative property can only happen when with addition and multiplication. Okay, so commutative. Uh-oh. Sorry. Commutative. Awesome. All right, let's keep on moving right along. This one, they sat there and distributed that x out, all right? I'm going to sit there and say this is kind of like the reverse distributive property, but for this one, we can just put distributive property again. Move this a little bit back. All right. And let's see what they're doing here. For this one, they sit there and just simplified it down. They just added it so that you can put simplifying. Now for here, they sit there and subtracted 14 from both sides. This is the subtraction. Uh-oh. Why did you do that? Subtraction. This is the subtraction property of equality. Okay, because we're saying so they're subtracting something from both sides to make it equal. The opposite, that's like the opposite of addition. And so for this one now, we're dividing both sides by 6, okay? So this is one is going to be the division property of equality, okay? So those are all the steps that we can say that we took mathematically to sit there and solve for x with a linear equation, all right? Any questions on those, just leave a comment in the bottom. So now let's sit there and look at exercise 3. Try to solve the following equation. State whether the equation is identity or inconsistent. So basically identity is just going to be when both sides are equal to each other, like when you get like 6 equals 6 or 0 equals 0 or x equals x. That's going to be something that results in an identity. Inconsistent is when you get a false statement, like you get 6 equal to 16 or 0 equal to 5, you know, it's something that's not true. So let's solve this and see what we get, all right? So again, we're going to use our steps when solving a linear equation. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and distribute. I'm writing out all my steps before I do so. I have 6x minus 2x, and then minus 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Just making sure that 2 hits all of my terms. And then I have 3x plus 2, 4, 6 plus x minus 5 just comes along for the ride. Right now I want to sit there and get all my like terms together. 6 minus 2, that's going to be 4x. Minus 8 will just make come along for the ride right now. Then let's do everything on the right-hand side. I have 3x plus x. That's going to be 4x. And then positive 6 minus 5. That's just going to be plus 1. I notice that I have this. If I sit there and subtract 4x from both sides, those are going to cancel out. Okay. I'm just showing you each and every step. So in case you guys get lost or anything like that, subtract that. So then I'm left with negative 8 equals 1. Oops, just a second. Okay. Sorry, I did that. Negative 8 equals 1. This is not a true statement. No. So this is going to be inconsistent. Okay. I got a false statement after I solved. So it's going to be inconsistent equation. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at 4. For this one, an identity is an equation that is true for all values of the substitution variable. Trying to solve them can lead to confusing situations. Consider the equation below, right? Test the values of x equals 5 in the equation. So for this one, I'm just going to do x equals 5 for x equals 3, go ahead and see what you get on your own. If you need help with it, leave something in the comments. But all we're going to use is substitution. So everywhere I see an x in this equation, I'm going to put a 5. Okay, so that's going to look like 2. I'm going to use parentheses 5. Again, because everywhere I see x, I'm going to put parentheses and a 5. And then 6 plus 5 minus 1 equals 3, and parentheses 5 minus 3, in parentheses plus 2. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. 2 times 5 is 10, and then minus 6. I'm just going to show all my steps just in case. So I don't get any weird answers. Minus 5 minus 1. I'll do from left to right with that next. For here, I'll just go ahead and distribute because we're already sitting there practicing distributing anyways. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. 3 times 3 is going to be negative 9. Or 3 times negative 3 is going to be negative 9. And then plus 2. Now I just move from left to right with addition and subtraction. For this one, I'll do all at once. 10 minus 6, that's going to be 4. 4 plus 5, that's going to be 9. Then minus 1, I'm going to get 8. This side, I have 15 minus 9. That's going to give me 6. 6 plus 2 is going to give me 8. So see how I sat there and said we got something that equals each other? It's a true statement. So this is going to be an identity equation, right? And these are solutions. So show that both are solutions. I know they're solutions because it gives me a true statement. All right. So you should get something like a true statement when you sit there and plug in 3. All right. So now let's look at B. Attempt to solve the equation until you are sure that it's an identity. So, excuse me, we're just going to sit there and try to solve this for x and see when we sit there and get something that looks like an identity or when both sides are equal. All right. So I have 2x minus 6 plus x minus 1 equals 3 x minus 3 plus 2. All right. Sorry, it took me forever and a day to write that out. So let's go ahead and solve this. Let's start with distributing. So everything, again, I like to write everything step for step, and you guys should do the same if you are doing math for high school or even college or any kind of math. Show all your work. All right. So we're going to go ahead and distribute this. All right. That 3 has to hit the x, and it has to hit that negative 3. So I'm going to get 3x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And then plus 2. Now I just want to sit there and get my like terms together. On my left-hand side, I'm going to get 3x minus 7. And then the only like terms I have over here is 3x. Negative 9 minus 2, that's going to give me negative 7. Doesn't matter which ones I cancel out. If I add them to both sides or sit there and subtract 3x from both sides, I know I'm going to get something like this. I get 3x equals 3x. If I wanted to sit there and divide both sides by 3, I could, and I would get x equals x. But just looking at this, we're going to know it's an identity, okay? Because I get both sides of my equation equal to one another, right? So we just showed that that one is an identity by following those steps. For exercise 5, which of the following equations are identities, which are inconsistent and which are neither? For this one, I think this one's a little bit easier for you guys, so I'll save that one for you guys to do. I'll leave something in the comments if you do not get it, because I don't want this video to be too long. So let's do a harder one. Let's go ahead and tackle D. Okay, because this one looks like more of like a rational function. All right, so let's go ahead and start solving this one. The first thing I would do is I sit there and get rid of this distributing to make the left-hand side look a little bit prettier. So let's go ahead and do that. I have 2x. And then plus 1 plus I'm just distributing this through to sit there and see what that looks like. So I get 2x. And then that's minus 2. So just multiplying 2 by both those terms. And then this part just comes along for the ride, the 16x minus 4 over 4. Now what I'm going to do on the left-hand side is I'm going to sit there and combine my like terms. I have 2x and 2x. That's going to give me 4x. And then positive 1 minus 2, that's going to give me negative 1, right, equals 16x minus 4. And that's over 4. Now that we simplified that down, it's kind of easier to see. Whenever I have like one side of my equation that looks like a fraction, the other side that doesn't, I like to make both my sides look like fractions. So we can always make this side of the equation look like a fraction by putting it over 1, okay? Now from here, this is algebra 1 kind of stuff. I can sit there and use the butterfly method and cross multiply. Right? So now I'm going to have, when I cross multiply, just literally cross multiply. I can do 4 times 4x minus 1. I did the constant first because it's nicer to write it like this. 4x minus 1. And then I set it equal to whatever else I'm cross multiplying by. This part right here. 1 times 6x minus 4. Anything times 1 is itself. So 6x minus 4. Oops, I forgot the x. X minus 4. All right. Now I keep on simplifying down. Let's go ahead and distribute again. So I have 4 times 4x and 4 times negative 1. That's going to give me 16x minus 4 equals 16x minus 4. This is starting to look like an identity, right? So I sit there and cancel these 4's out because if I add them to both sides, those will cancel out. I could divide both sides by 16. So I can get x equals x, just kind of like how we got in the last exercise. This is identity, okay? So D is going to be identity because both sides are equal to each other when we solve for x. Okay, nice. All right, so for this one, again, if you need help with any of these problems right here for fluency, A through A, oh, there's a lot, J, or applications, leave a comment and I'll sit there and either comment to you back with step by step to either of the solutions, or I can do another video for you, okay? All right, you guys, so thanks for watching. And as always, if you have any homework questions or would like further tutoring, please subscribe or leave a message in the comments. Thanks, guys.